There's a famous Ramban in the end of Parshas Boy. That Ramban is the Yisoidus in the Minas Hashem. There were some tzaddikim, they told their Talmidim, Chassidim, they should learn this Ramban continuously. So the Ramban says, the kavuna of every mitzvah is, bottom line, that we should believe in Hashem, and we should thank Hashem that He created us. The reason for the creation to create us was, there's no other reason, but we should know and thank Hashem that He created us, and that's done through tefillah. Buta Kenesiyois, Buta Medrushois, Schiz Tfilas Rabben. So we see from the Ramban, Hashem created us for this tachlis, to thank the name of Hashem. And that's done through tefillah. Actually, we say this every Shabbos by davening, in the shtickle of Mekahalo Yisrael V'Yisamcho B'Yis Yisrael, Shekain Choyvas Kol HaYetzidim. It's an obligation of all of us. Nefenechu Hashem Elekaini, L'Elkai V'Sayin L'Hoidois L'Halal L'Shabayach. Al Kol Divrei Shirois V'Shbuchos Duvet Ben Yishai. Above all the Shirois and Teshbuchos that Duvet Ben Yishai wrote in Tehillim, we have to praise and thank in all these languages of thanking Hashem. It says in the Sefer, Oisi is the Rebbe Kiva, that was written by the Tana Rekai Rebbe Kiva, the Heilige Rebbe Kiva, the Tana, that we are here to praise Hashem every day. We are Mamlech Hashem, the four sides of the world. If not for Shire v'Zimre, B'chol Yoim v'Yoim, Hashem says, I wouldn't have created the world. And He brings psikim and psikim, even koirach. I mean, Uda Medishan, not koirach. Even Uda Medishan, Pusach Piv B'Shiru, Mizma Yishi Eloyim B'Shabbos. That was sung by Uda Medishan. Especially, Be'ikfus the Mashiach nowadays, we are so dire in need for Yeshias Hashem and Mashiach, as the Mavrom brings from the Smak. It's a mitzvah to daven ba'eis tzurum. According to the Rambam, it's a mitzvah to daven every day. Even women are mechiv because it's not a mitzvah says Shazman Gerona. As the Ramban says in Sefer HaMitzvahs, Ba'eis tzuru shel achris hayomim. When mamish now at times, when it's going to come the achris hayomim close to Mashiach, we are commanded min ha-Torah to daven b'chol v'vayin v'nafshayni. We are sure Hashem will have rachmunis on us and answer our tefillos. Now the Gemara says in Masechta Rishona, Afid Ches, Hoyre Maya Oimen, and Maya would say, Shnaim She'uli Lemita, two people went to bed, V'chel Yon Shuvet, had the same sickness, both were sick, the same thing, Ze Yurad V'ze Lo Yurad. One person was healed, one person not. So the Gemara says, Mipnai Ma Ze Yurad V'ze Lo Yurad. Why was this person healed and that person was not healed? So the Gemara answers, the Maya says, Ze hispal tefillah shleimunena. This person davened the complete tefillah, he was answered. Ze lo hispal tefillah shleima, and the other person did not daven a full tefillah, he wasn't answered. So the question is, what does it mean tefillah shleima? So Rashi says, tefillah shleima means one word, niskav, yat kavona. Both have the same machla, both davened together, maybe together, the same Tefilos, one davened with Kavuna, and he was healed. So the Ben Ish Chai says, an amazing pshat on this Gemara. He quotes this Gemara, and he says, Lefizeh, this is the reason why there's a minig Yisrael when Yidden are in a Eis Tzurim and we have a problem. We are manadit tzeduke lin nishnas remaya zechisa yugun alayni, and we find tiyeres v'atzlucha. It works. It helps, and we are mitzliach. Why? Because he is the one who said this Ma'amad Chazal. So what did he find so special about this Ma'amad Chazal? And the Gemara says like this. How do we know that even if there was a Gzar Din min hashamayim, there's something to happen to a person and it can be changed? Through Tefillah. Gemara brings this Ma'amad Chazal and Maya. Yeah, two people, the same machle, both davened, one was helped and one not. Through the koyach ha-tefillah, that person was helped. Because he davened tefillah shleime, he davened with kavana. So the Ben Ish Chai says, Lekain noidrim imevakshim bischisoy, we daven and we beg in his schis, she'amayritz toiv al pis verusoy, because of his logic in which is this Ma'amad Chazal. And he goes on. But I want to mention one more thing, another piece of Ben Ish Chai. Often enough you'll hear from people, we started the Shia, the first Shia, with the Chofetz Chaim. We have to learn 2 hours Mitzvah a day. And he asked his Talmidim, and no one said yes. And he said, okay, we have no time. We have to learn Gemara Av Tosfos from morning to night, 18 hours a day. So how many hours do we have left in the day? You have to sleep something. So it's Tefillah. You can find it in Tefillah as well. So he said, why do we have to learn Mitzvah 2 hours a day? Because we hear so many things from people, which was a lack of a minhag. No, that person became rich because he bought the lottery and he did this investment, he bought this stock and many other reasons. No, because Hashem wanted him to become rich. I'm going to tell you an amazing, powerful Ben Ish Chai on this. He says like this. The Gemara says, Gedoyle Tshiva is so great that it rips the Gzar Din. Shemekarn es Gzar Din. Shemekras Gzar Din oy sheludam. So the Ben Ish Chai asks, why does it say Gedoyle Tshiva is Shemekras? It rips the Gzar Din? You should have said Mevatel Gzar Din. Mikras means you rip something into pieces. Take a piece of paper and you rip it up. Now you rip the paper into pieces. That's called mikras. What kind of ripping is here? Mikras Gzar Din. Gzar Din has to be ripped. Gzar Din has to be nullified in his battle. He brings a mushal from the Chazal. Chazal gave a mushal. There was once his father. He swore that he's going to throw on his son a koide, a beam. There was a beam in front of him, and if he does that, his son has no chance of living. This is very dangerous, but he made it sure. He swore. If he doesn't throw it, then he's over on the shvir. What should he do? He took that beam and he cut it to pieces, small pieces, and he threw it on his son. So it was Makayim the shvir, and his son could live. And is alive. Nothing happened to him. Didn't get hurt. Kain hatsure shaguzru alaini. The same thing when Hashem is goize atsure on a yid, a big beam. And he splits it into many pieces. I've heard someone told me, I don't know what's going on. Hashem doesn't like me. The tzuris every day, more and more tzuris. I can't take this. He's showing it doesn't like me. You would have had this big surah. Now Hashem went and cut the surah to pieces. Now you have small surahs. You have small nisyonis, small problems. Isn't that mamish the same that we mentioned from Shlomo Melech? I don't think I mentioned it this year. I'll mention it again. It's a medrash that has to be chazed over. A person once came to Shlomo Melech and begged him that he wants to learn the language of birds. Did I mention it already? No? He wants to learn the language of birds. And he said, why is it so important? Why do you have to know it? It's unnecessary. No, he was an action. He begged, I want to know it. And he taught him. A few days, he hears the discussion between two birds. You know, this man, he owns a huge farm. If he doesn't sell his farm, the whole flock will die. He came home. He decided, I'm selling it. I'm not taking any chances. And he sold it. And a few weeks later, it was gone. Baruch Hashem. You know how much money I earned now from knowing the sichos of Oifus? A few weeks later, he gets another message from the birds. Now the message is, this man better sell his house. It's going to get burnt. He didn't say sell the house. They said it's going to get burnt. So he was smart enough. He went and he sold his house. Sure enough, a few weeks later, this house was burned. So he did it again. The next time, he hears the birds chirping and talking, and he understood their language. This man is going to die. And he comes to Shlomo Melech crying, what do I do now? Shlomo Melech tells him, didn't I tell you that you shouldn't learn sichos oifus? Unnecessary. If you wouldn't have heard the first time, your flock would have died, and you would have done shiva. Your house wouldn't have to get burned. You wouldn't get a message that you're dying. But now, you crossed out the first message, so you have the money from there. You crossed out the second message from your house, fine, you won. But now, there's no solution. So everything else, Al Pi Cheshem from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Nothing is just, it happened. So when a person, Chas v'Shulam, goes through small little nisyonis, and he's up in arms, oh, Gewalt, what then? Hashem doesn't like me anymore? I daven and doesn't help? No, that is the Yeshia. You have to go through a certain measurement of nisyonis, but Hashem cuts it in pieces, small ones, so go through another one until you're finished, and you'll be okay. Therefore, the Chazal say, Gedoyle tshive shemikras gezardin. Shemikras, he rips it apart. He breaks it into pieces. L'chaluk merabim, many pieces. That's why it says kiriya, not bittel. Brings psikim. Amazing word. So, this is what tefillah is all about. Tefillah, it works if we do it the proper way. Avad the Ian tefillah, which we'll talk about later, is not allowed. If I daven, then it has to help. But when a person davens and his tefillah is al pi halucha, every tefillah that he davens, then there's an assurance. But let's discuss another issue. Somebody told me the other day, for me to have kavanah during tefillah is just impossible. I have so much in my head. Didn't I mention from the Sant Zaruf? I mentioned it. Sant Zaruf once said, the Chatas Neirim, the Bel Zaruf, no? That his Chatas Neirim, his sins when he was young was that once he verämpfert the Shver Rama middle of the Shemoneh Esrei. But now, he says, during the Shemoneh Esrei, the toilet doesn't exist. It's only Shemoneh Esrei. So, I found in Pele Yoyetz, he brings some the Baal Mekabulim. So a person, last week we did bring the Mushal, the Chofetz Chaim, the girl that wanted to sell vegetables, and came a thief and started grabbing out from the basket, and someone from the far was screaming, take some vegetables. You'll be left with nothing. At least save what you can. So you missed 3 quarters of Shemoneh Esrei, but save some bruchas. At least the last few bruchas, save it and have the proper kavuna. Don't think, since the first 2/3 of Shemoneh Esrei is gone, then I have no chance. No, even one brucha. Peleyoid says it. Peleyoid brings from Baal Mekabulim. Shem udam yechavim beyoim echad, bebrucha echad. Person has kavuna, one day, one brucha. V'yoim macha, another day, bebrucha acheres. A different brucha, you had kavuna. One brucha. Imagine, from all the 18, 19 bruchas of Shemoneh Esrei, you only had kavuna in one brucha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu mitzarfa. He combines it. Ashanase tefillah shleime bekavuna, until it becomes a complete tefillah, because of that one brucha. That will be a crown for him. Beauty, that one brucha. So we find this in other surim that elaborate on this much more to explain how this works. In Sefer Sha'ar HaYoreh, a person finds himself, most tefillas he davened is ruined, lost. And his feeling is, okay, I missed it, I lost it, it's gone. Brucha levatulas, it's better if I don't daven at all. So all these tefillas, yes, they are called psilim. All these tefillas are puzzle. And it's pushed away outside and cannot enter, it doesn't go to Shemayim, to Hashem Yisborach. However, Hashem takes those tefillas and He created in Rekiah a special place, in a special shomer, where those tefillas are kept. All those pusale tefillas enter that Rekiah and it stays there. Now, if this person davens a tefillah, one tefillah, bekavuna gedoyle, and this tefillah was hagine ishleime, complete, as oisa hat tefillah hakshayde, that kusher tefillah, mistalekes voileches v'nechneses bo'oisa heichel hachitzoin. It goes up to Shamayim, to that Rekiah, where all the tefillah psilas are. And it takes out from there all the tefillahs that he davened without kuna that apostle. V'oilois kilonim oisa hatfilah k'shayde shehispal. And it goes up together with all those tefillahs, with that tefillah that he davened. Ba'gida achas ifnai Hashem Yisborach. Nimtze shlo yipel duvet echod mekol hatfilah shayuchad mispal. Not one tefillah will go to waste that you davened. Even those so-called pusel also now went together with that one tefillah, and now it became kosher. Some Sofer says the same thing in Parashat Shoftim, in Toras Moshe. There was once a Maisa who was a young man who was a chusid from the Chayzer from the Blin. And he lived in this city, Apt. He lived in Apta. And his father-in-law was also a big chusid from the Chayzer from the Blin. Once, the son-in-law saw that his father-in-law is not davening at all. And he got together the chutzpah and asked his father, why aren't you davening? You know what the answer was? Well, the father would answer, mind your own business. Don't make sense of my business. And he didn't daven. So this young man, it bothered him so much that his wife's father is not davening. And he went to the Chayzer from the Blin, and he told him, his father was not davening. He stopped davening. When the father came to the Blin, and he asked him, what is this that you're not davening? And he said, I fell from my madrigis from last time I was here, I can't have proper kavuna in tefillah. Therefore, my cheshbon is, why should I gather so many brucha levatulis mentioning Shem Shamayim for nothing? Therefore, I'm not davening. He stopped davening. So the Choyzer from Lin answered him like this. It says in Tilim, Kapitel Paizayin, Hashem yispoid b'ksoyev amim. Mashiach comes, Hashem will come, He will gather all those that fell through, but He teaches like this. Why does it say b'ksoyev amim? Amim is Lushan Rab, nations. Why doesn't it say b'ksoyev am? So he told them like this. Us, B'nai Yisrael, we don't have numbers in our cheshbonis. There's no 1, 2, 3, 4. It's Echad, Shtayim, Shlosh, Arba, Chumash. That's it. That's our count. All the other nations have numbers. There's one number called Ephes. Ephes is 0. Nothing. You have many Epheses, many zeros. That those zeros don't have any cheshbon whatsoever. No cheshbon. However, if you put one number in the front, in the left side of those zeros, then 10, 100, 1,000, million, that one number in the front, that changes the whole picture. So you should know, the same thing is Toid and Tefillah and Mitzvahs and Masam Toiden. If you do it b'kavuna, fine. If you don't do it b'kavuna, it's not considered anything. It's nothing. It's like zeros, but you could fix it. You could fix those zeros. You could fix those mitzvahs and fix those tefillahs. Several solutions. Number one, daven or learn or do a mitzvah once a year with kavuna, real kavuna. That tefillah, that mitzvah will take over all the other mitzvahs and tefillah, and it's going to change all to be millions. That's going to add the number one in the front. Or Yom Kippur. And he gives all the solutions. This is the pshat. Hashem yispoir. Hashem counts b'chsoiv hu'amim. The numbers of the nations, of the goyim, they count zeros, which we don't have zero in our count. Yes, we have Ephes, but they have 0, 0, 0. You put one number in the front, which is a tefillah b'kavuna, mitzvah b'kavuna, you've done it. Then you succeeded. And all the tefillahs and all the mitzvahs go to Shamayim, taken out from the place where Hashem keeps all the posel tefillahs, and everything now becomes a tefillah shleima, a complete tefillah. So, the bottom line is, not to give up. It didn't work today. It's going to work tomorrow. It didn't work the first part of Shemoneh Esrei. It's going to work the last part, or even the last bracha. So soon we're going to go in the Shemoneh Esrei, which bracha is the most important. I shouldn't say most important, every bracha is important. Which bracha is the bracha that we see in the Chazal that cannot yotze without kavuna? There is such a thing, we'll go into it soon. But before that, first, we have talked about how a person stands by Shemoneh Esrei, the foot together, the 3 steps, which side to daven. But one more thing I want to mention before we go into those halachas. If a person had a doubt, why did I come out tonight? Just because of this, to listen to this. It'll be enough. We have tefillah b'peh, and there's tefillah b'lev. Tefillah that comes from the heart, and tefillah that comes from the mouth. What's the difference between the two? So there's a mushal. There was once a child that knew and felt that his father loves him. The child turned hungry, and he wanted to buy some food. He went to his father. Tati, please give me some money. I want to buy food. I'm hungry. Without any doubt, the father took out money and gave him money. Not even a question. Why? Why did the father was so gracious, not even to ask any question? My kind, my child, you want money for food? Yeah, money. Open packet. Because the son came to the father and asked the father as a child asks from their father. And the child knew, if my father won't give me money, where am I going to turn? Who's going to give me money to buy food? I only have one father. Therefore, if I need something, I go to my father. I don't have to anyone else to go. He's the only one that could help me. So now the child, even if he cannot speak well, he's too young, or for any reason, or he can't express his feelings with words, the father feels already, he understands the wink of a child, that his son is relying on him and only on him and no one else. So therefore he feels, I shouldn't use the word obligation, he feels that same feeling, the connection to his son. I'll give you anything you need, my child. You're my son, I'm your father. And when he does give it to him, he gives it to him with ahava, with love, and with simcha. It's all because of one thing, how the child, his connection, his relationship with his father. Mantaya kind, my special child, whatever you need. But let's draw a different picture. The child became older, he got married, and he moved away. He lived in a different city, different country. Now he has his own family, hardly comes to visit his parents, and even the telephone calls start becoming less and less. And the father would dare tell him a word, but if he does tell him, Tati, I have no time to talk to you, no? When he has a problem, when he's an ice suitor, he will turn to his father. Only then he'll turn to his father. Then he will remember, oh, I have a rich father. Let me call him. I remember when I was young, I needed anything I needed, my father gave me. When you were young, you respected your father. And you knew that your father is the only way how you could get something. No other ways. And now he's a man on his own. Doesn't need his father. So instead of going to the father and begging the father, which he doesn't feel comfortable doing, all of a sudden I'm here, or tell him, where were you yesterday? He sends a shliach. He sends a messenger and he begs him, please ask my father, I need a favor. Or he'll leave a message on his machine. He'll text him, Father, what? This is how you ask? You can't call me? I didn't speak to you for 2 months. Or even for 2 weeks. You want something? Call me. No, he texts. Doesn't know how to call. And he sends a messenger, I need money. He leaves a message. What's the message? My father, this is your son Yitzchak. Send me money. But he said, please, as no, please send me money. He added that word. Remember, years ago. And they signed off, Shulam bebrucha. Fine. Do you think the father will send him a penny? No. Now you need me, you call me? Where were you until now? This doesn't need explanation. We see clearly the difference between that young child and when he was young, when he became older. When he was young, there was a heart, there was a hagusha, a feeling in father and son. That's gone. So the father lost the same ahava he had. I love you, you're my child, but that feeling he had then, that he doesn't have anymore towards him. The same thing when we beg HaKadosh Baruch Hu for something, whatever we need. If we come as a son asking our father, Tata, please, I need, and always thanks, and is always there. He says praises, he says thank you every day, 3 times a day, or maybe even 60 times a day, then you have no problem. Definitely Hashem will not deny whatever you need. And let me tell you 2 amazing stories. This story goes back to a Talmud of the Vilna Gaon. His name was the Pshaya Bredaki. He went to Eretz Yisrael, or he moved to Eretz Yisrael with his 2 children, 2 small children, a son and a daughter. He was on the ship, very close to the port of Yaffo, and he already saw the Eretz HaKudosh. He saw it, tiny Hagdosh. He saw it. It's right in front of him. All of a sudden, a hurricane, waves are just going back and forth. The winds became so strong. I'm almost there. Mamish noch a bissl. And what happens? The ship broke. All the people, Nebuch, perished, fell into the water. Hagun Ribishaya, the Talmud of the Vilna Gaon, he knew how to swim. Even in such difficult times when there are waves. And he grabbed his 2 children, he held on tight to his children, and he started swimming. As the second went by, he saw that it's impossible for me to save myself and my 2 children. I'm going to have the koyach, I'm going to have the power. If I'm going to hold both of them, definitely all 3 will drown. So, and he's talking to himself. If I hold one of my children and I will leave go on the other one, then I think I could do it. I'll make it. And the waves are going back and forth, and he's fighting the waves with both of his children. Now he has to decide, which child do I let go? Imagine, some decision to make. Is it my son or my daughter? So right away, came to his mind the Shulchan Aruch. It says clearly, his son will learn Torah and do mitzvahs. So he decided to let go of his daughter. And he's going to save his son. And he's starting to loosen up his hands that he held his daughter. And the daughter felt that the father is letting go. And she started yelling, Tate, Tate, don't let go. Al ta'azvaini. The shout of the daughter touched his heart. And he said, and he thought in his mind, I cannot let go of my daughter. After such shout, Tata, Tata, I cannot do it. Suddenly, he felt a strong koyches. New koyches came to him. And he held on both of his children. And he swam to the port of Yaffo. And as soon as he came to the Yabusha, where it's dry, it just collapsed from exhaustion. And he revived. He was revived. Now he saved himself and his 2 children. They're all alive. After many years, when came time for his children to get married, And it came time for him to leave the world. And he called over his daughter. And he said, my daughter, do you remember what happened in the water when the ship broke? I said, sure, I remember. Do you remember what you screamed? Yes. I said, Tate, don't let go. Verlass nicht. Alta azvaini. You should know. Every time you will feel that you find yourself in difficult waters, or you find yourself in problems, even if it doesn't look good, and it seems that with Teva you will not be helped, start screaming to Shamayim, Tate, verlass mich nicht, don't let me go, Alta azvaini. If you will shout be'emes from the depth of your heart, you will find the Yeshia. I have busa v'dam. And when you shouted that Tate, don't let go, I mustered the koiches, and at such rachmunis, I couldn't let go. And I gained new strength to pull you out, together with your brother. Alachas kamu v'kamu, uvini shabal shamayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Melech Malchai Amluchim HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Mekor Rachmim. There's no sheer how much Rachmunis Hashem could have for us. There's no koiches that could measure the koiches of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Hakol Yuchoil. He could do anything. There's no such thing as difficult or too hard. If you shout be'emes, avada you will have a Yeshia. A tefillah that comes from the depth of the heart. Ovini Shabbat Shamayim. Ozraini nu, please help. I don't have any other father but you. I can't go to anyone for help. Only you. When we have this feeling that we don't have this, sometimes we're like, I'll go to him, protect her. No. It's only HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When a person feels he could do it, then you should know that you might not be helped. The only Yeshia is through HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One more story. This is such an important topic. I figured it's good to throw in another story. This story is from the Yismach Yisrael. When he was young, the Alexander Rebbe, and he was together with his father, Rabbi Chiel. They were traveling together in a town, and suddenly in the middle of the night, his father took ill. He lost his koyches. He didn't have koyach. Until he was in big danger. Doctor not to be found in the vicinity where they were. And the tzaddik thought that his days or his minutes are nearing. Started crying, and his son came over to the father and he hugged him and he told him, Abba, I swear to you, Kiloi ye'ine loch kol ru. No bad will happen to you. Strengthen yourself. Tis chazek, strong. Ba'al tefachet, don't be afraid. Comes to my mind, I saw a postcard that my grandfather, he died before the war, wrote to my father's brother, Al tiru me pachat pisoin. I think he said, tell your brother, or he came to his sister, to my father's sister in a dream, tell your brother, Al tiru me pachat pisoin, don't be afraid. And he was dressed in garments of a soldier. In Taka, they were both saved. My father was saved. He was in Romania, so Yimach Shmom didn't enter the town, the city where he was. So here he made a shua. He said, Father, nothing is going to happen to you. When he heard these words from his son, he took the extra strength and slowly he started coming back to his koyches. He started feeling better. And immediately, Yismach Yisrael, the son, went into the woods and he started davening and crying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rebbeinu Shel Olam. This is what you're doing to my father. With no one around. The Chazal say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is chas, as Rechmunis an Kvoidam Shel Tzadikim. And he davened and davened. The next morning, the tzaddik felt much better. He came out of it. The son came into the father's room. And the father, the Rebbe, asked his son, my teure Kind, my special child, how did you swear with such assurance that I'm going to be okay, that nothing is going to happen to me? Where did you take that courage to make such a sure? I answered my father, I relied on the words of the Kodosh, the Heilige Rizhana. The Rizhana once said, on a pusik in Tilim, Adunu tasti es panech memeni, Adunu ushis aitzois benafshi. And he explained, David HaMelech is pouring out his heart and he's saying, Adunu tasti es panech memeni. How long still are you going to hide your face from me? To let me go just like that? That's only Adunu Aishis Ushis Aitzois Banafshi. That's only if Kolzman I'm going to think that I could have a solution from someone else, not through HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm going to have this problem. As soon as I feel that you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is the only one that can help me, no one else, then I know that I'll be helped. When a Yid pours out his heart and he says, Uvini Shabbat Shamayim, Li Ein Aitzois, I have no solutions how to come out from this matzah, from this difficult time that I find myself now. I only have you. Please, Unu, Uvi Ozraini, help me. Then there's no Asturis Punim. Hashem does not hide himself from that person who has that clarity in Tefillah. If a person relies, he's betayach, he's sure, only legami alavini Shabbat Shamayim, says the Yismach Yisrael, Father, when I was in the woods and I saw, and I knew, I have no solution. I can't turn to anybody. Nobody is there. Only one solution I have, Yeshiyas Hashem. Therefore I relied and I was sure that the Yeshiyas Hashem will come through HaKadosh Baruch Hu and no bad will happen. So, the Heilige word from the Rizhana is not only a pshat in the pusik, it's an huge, it's hadrucha, how a person should conduct himself. Anytime a person feels he's in dire need, I don't know how to, I can't manage. If you are highly convinced that nobody could help you, only HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then you're good. And start shouting, Tata, Tata, help me. And your tefillah will be answered. So now, let's start with a few dinim of the Shemoneh Esrei before we start explaining each bruch of the Shemoneh Esrei. I think before we start the dinim of Shemoneh Esrei, it would be very important before to explain the names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because any time we come up with a Shem, every Shem has a different interpretation. If we don't have the proper kavuna, the proper taich of every Shem, then it's also chsun nitfil. It's not a kavuna shleima. As I mentioned, my uncle once told me, Libi chulil bekirbi, a person davens and doesn't have in mind the proper taich of the Shem, then it's empty. The Shaimis HaKdoshim, the names of Hashem, is Mamshech, Shefa, Bruche, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Mashpia on Klal Yisrael. It's a very pusik. Kol mokem masha aski eshemi. Any place you mention my name, uvoy ailechu ebaydachtichu. I will come to you, I will bench you. V'sumi et shemi, my name, al b'nai Yisrael, b'ani avochem. Again, the name. But we have to say the name properly. So the Torah says, when you mention the name of Hashem, and you say, Aleph Daled Nin Yid, when you have the Yid in the end, in this week's parasha, for instance, it says in the Pusik, my master. The Yid makes it my master. So when you say, Aleph Daled Nin Yid, you're talking to Hashem. That means you're talking to Hashem, my master. Adoin Kol, Hashem is the Udoin, the master of the world, the master of everything. That's the first taich. And the taich, the way we pronounce the Shem, Aleph Daled Nin Yid. But really the Aleph Daled Nin Yid is not Aleph Daled Nin Yid. We cannot pronounce Yid Kai Vuf Kai, but Yid Kai Vuf Kai has a different explanation. So that Shem, when we say Burich Atu Hashem is Yid Kai Vuf Kai, so we have a mind, Yehoyu, Hoive, was, is, and will be. That's the taich of Yid Kai Vuf Kai. Plus, since we say Aleph Daled Nin Yid, so we have a mind, my master, the master of the world, Adoin Koil. Says the Torah, Siman Hai, he continues, Elokim, Aleph Lamed. Elokim, the first two letters Aleph Lamed. Aleph Lamed we know is koyach v'chuzak, power, powerful. Also, all it is from Sikim, that Kail is the taich, powerful. Kim, Hashem is powerful, he could do anything. So every time you mention Elokim, that's what we have in mind. Also, the Hashem Yid Kai Vuf Kai is also a Rachem. Hoi Hoive V'yeh and Rachem. Hashem Kai Rachem V'chanen. The Reiches Chochmah says, Yid Kai Vuf Kai, that Shem is the Makor of the Neshumos. Ki Chaylik Hashem Amoy. Every Yid has a Chaylik and a Kaim Amal. The Neshumah is a Chaylik from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's Yid Kai Vuf Kai, according to the Reiches Chochmah. So, shows on the Ashgucha Prutis, everything that happens is fully calculated from Shamayim on each and every Yid. There's no that he missed this person or that person. Everything is calculated, says the Reiches Chochmah. Hashem Elikaini Hashem Echad, says the Vilna Gaon, in Sefer Deris El Yui, in Parshas Devarim. Hashem is Baruch, takes care of us, the prutis, each and every person and each and every incident. And he brings a machilta, Hashem Elikaini Hashem Echad. When we say Hashem Echad, why do we have to say Hashem Elikaini Hashem Echad? Because we all believe the Kedishis HaTorah in the Gili Shechina Nahar Sina Liyachat Shmoi B'Yoyse Hashem Elikaini. Each and every Yid says, he's my God. Every Yid says that. We all believe that he is everyone's. Every Yid believes he is mine. That's the feeling of every Yid. Tosfos says, where do we know Kail is midas strong, as we saw before? Tosfos in Shun Lav Yizayin, Kibiyot Chazuke, he meichem muzan l'chol habiyot. With a strong hand, he prepares food for all of his creation, for each and every person, and for every creature, Hashem creates their foods. Chesed Kail Kol Hayoyim, it says. Kail is also Chesed. So these are the taich. Push it without going into any riches. So one pshat you had Kai means choizik, one touch is chesed, Kai Kol Hayoyim. Yid Kai Vuf Kai, we said it's Hoy V'yeh. It's also Chaylik Hashem Amoy. And the same time, Aleph Dalet Nit is Adnis Adoin Koil, and some Sadirim you have it printed on top of every page. It means we try to do things that we should have proper kavuna, not to steer away. And one thing I did see, to look at every letter. I tried it, mamish works. When you say Shemoneh Esrei, look at every letter, every word. If you know that you have to look at every word, you'll have the proper kavuna, because I'm looking at the word. So you have in mind the types of the words. So now the next is going into the halachas before the Shemoneh Esrei, which side to daven, how to keep our feet, the 3 steps. Okay, we'll stop over here. Continue next week.